Hey guys, welcome to the show. This was actually the very first scale that I learned on the piano. I was only 6 or 7 years old. We were living in Prague, Czech Republic, and I was a pretty hyper child. My family, God bless them, decided to get me a piano. Now the reason they got me a piano, they thought it would calm me down. I remember taking my first piano lesson and my teacher was great. She was from the Prague Symphony. And for a 6-year-old kid it was pretty hard, but from that point, from taking my very first piano lesson until later that I became a professional musician and later on winning a Grammy Award. So today, I'm gonna share my very 5 top tips for beginner pianists. Tip number 1, know your basics. Your basic technique is very important. When I was playing the scale, in the beginning, if you learn it the correct way, it can stay with you for life. I go through my scales even till this day. Now I have this book, my scale book, that is by David Hirschberg, and I still use this. It's important to practice your scales at least 20 minutes a day. So if you see someone playing the piano, you'll know right away the way they're holding their hands. It's up and it's properly placed on the piano. So when you see someone playing the piano, and if they're classically trained and they're trained the proper way, you see the way their hand is, the way they play. When I talk about foundation and basic technique, that's very important, and that's how you develop your hand position. Tip number 2, be patient. Well, you don't become a virtuoso player overnight. Remember the 10,000 hour rule? Well, that means that you at least need to practice about 10,000 hours to be great at something. And you gotta be patient. You gotta think that this is a lifelong journey. I see a lot of younger musicians that they're in a hurry. They wanna learn things really fast. They think if they practice a song a few times, then they're ready to go. It actually takes a long time. So be patient. So tip number 3, know your instrument. I talk to a lot of people that play the piano but don't really know what they're playing, because I asked them, what are you playing? What kind of piano? I don't know, it's a piano. If you're playing a $2,500 piano or a $250,000 piano, there's a huge difference. So one of the main differences between a keyboard like this and a grand piano, obviously, is most of the time is the price. But at the same time, having a keyboard is a little bit easier. Now, if you have a grand piano or if you have a piano, you have to have a tuner at least every 6-8 months to a year. Now, I understand right now, the crazy times that we're living in, it's hard to go to a piano store or go to the guitar center. But there's a lot of great YouTube videos that you can check out talking about different pianos and keyboards. And I'm also thinking in the future, I'll be doing some videos about some of my favorite pianos and keyboards that I'll be sharing with you. So the point is, you want to just go and have fun. You go to a music store, you just on a piano, you sit on the piano and just perform and see what, if it's a feel thing. Eventually you'll find a piano that you're like, wow, this feels pretty good. Yeah. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. Just go out and just try out different pianos and see what works for you. Tip number 4, set yourselves some goals. What do I mean by that? I used to have a full-time job when I first moved to LA. I would work till about 5 or 6 p.m. and then I would go home, and practice for at least 4 hours. No kidding. I actually had a clipboard that I would put in the time that I started and the time that I finished. So I was pretty serious. What happened with that is that kept me productive. Every week I was making a progress. If I'm working on a song, at least I knew I'm making progress. So I think it's very important to set goals, even if you're beginning, intermediate, or whatever level you're in. I believe in setting goals. Tip number 5, find a great teacher. You know, from the time that I started playing the piano and taking my very first piano lesson to this, anyway, you get the idea. From that to this took many, many years. But the first teacher that I had, my very first piano teacher, sort of started me on this path. So I highly recommend to get a great teacher. Now I understand a lot of people are not able to do that at this time. So a lot of us, we turn to the great YouTube to learn the piano or different instruments. So one of the things I like to do on this channel is to bring you guys tips that I learned over all these years, from my very first piano lesson till now, and I'll be sharing that with you here on this channel and hopefully saving you some time. Now, if you have any great tips that has worked for you over time, please put it in the comments below. I would really appreciate that because I read every single comment myself and I will be answering you back. So I want to thank you so much for watching the show. And if you got something out of it, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and I will see you on the next show.